Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we are back. I know it's been a little bit of a minute. We've both been working a lot, but we've got plenty to talk about on this show. We have the Ducks' 30th anniversary jersey, the draft. We have free agency stuff to talk about. The Ducks got some new players on the team, and of course, all the Gibson drama. But before we get to all that, what's been going on, Eddie? It's kind of been a minute. We've both been pretty busy here lately.
Yeah, work. I guess work. It's all been going on, but I'm going to Big Bear this weekend, so it's gonna be a nice getaway. So I'm glad to do that. One of my friends, she flew over, so we're going to hopefully have a nice, relaxing time. Knowing my luck, I probably get ate by a bear or something like that, or eaten by a bear. But yeah, nothing much, but just work and trying to do the best I can at work in the business and drinking when I can and letting loose and having fun. But I'm looking forward to being back on the show. And then, Mike, I want to ask you a question. What am I drinking right now?
What are you drinking right now?
Yes, I know we didn't talk about that off the show, but it's the same thing. I'm a creature of habit.
Creature of habit. You having some kind of IPA?
Oh, no, I don't drink IPA. I drink too fast for that. If I drink an IPA, I'd probably be in the restroom floor past that. But no, I'm drinking a White Claw and the Pink Whitney shooters.
Nice.
I always do.
I had some Red Bull vodkas, and now I'm being back to my wino stage, so, it is what it is. But
so how you been? What you been up to, Mike? I know work. You've been busy at work, too.
Yeah.
Just as busy, if not busier than I am.
Yeah, I had like 3 weeks where I worked, and I only had like 2 days off. I was really, really busy, and then I did take a week off, and I went to Arizona, and I saw the Grand Canyon, which I don't remember if I saw it as a kid or not, but my better half wanted to go, and we went. Though it was during draft week, which was kind of ironic. We had planned it kind of far out in advance, and I forgot that was the week. But I mean, it's still fine. Still able to cover the draft. You and Thomas obviously helped out a lot that week, but got a little break with that. And but other than that, it was just like working like crazy. It's just been busy. Summertime's busy, and just some long days and long hours. A lot of stuff going on. I worked a lot on 4th of July. I worked like 16 hours. Had a lot of things going on, and finally got some time to try to catch up on stuff for the show. It's just been so busy. It's trying to put the notes together for us and review stuff and look at everything. And fun times though. I'm going to Vegas in a couple weeks. Going to see Chris Tucker. And I've got some friends that randomly are going the same weekend. Yeah, other friends are randomly going the same weekend, so that's going to be good. And I did just go to Vegas for the Stanley Cup final game #1. So that's kind of where we're at. We left off the last show. Vegas was winning the series. You and I both predicted that Vegas would win. And they did win. They won it in 5 games. They blew out Florida in that last game, 9-3. Pretty crazy. I did like the parade after that. I was not there for that. I was only there for game 1. But a lot of funny things happened after that Stanley Cup win. Did you like the interview by Carlsson on the strip there and some of the other players, Eddie?
Oh yeah, he first comes up and falls trying to get on the stage. That's the funniest. And the speech and talking about how he didn't have any points that first game, but then he was really good. He does the pelvic thrusting, and then apparently the girl that had cut him off was the PR girl for the team. It's like, okay, you had enough. You're gonna say something that's gonna cancel you out to today's society. So she had to cut him off pretty quick. But it was the funniest speech in the world. Just how drunk he was and how he's having a good time. And I'm glad for him, especially him being a former Duck player. Him getting traded didn't have that much success in Columbus, and usually see those in journeymen. Well, you get traded by one team that you barely not having that much success, another team you're not having success. He goes to Vegas and he just thrives out there the first season. Yeah, his production dipped down, but him facilitating that third line center role for the Golden Knights, becoming that shutdown third line role kind of reminded us of the Ducks and their third line when they won the Stanley Cup, how dominant they were, shut down they were. So it was good to see. I wanted Florida to have a little bit more fight in them, make it more of a game, but I think they were just completely depleted. The injuries got to them. You had Kachuk with a broken sternum and still was playing that last, or the second to last game, which was insane. Eriksson Ekblom, I believe is Ekblom. He had a broken foot or something like that. So they were just plagued with injuries. And Bobrovsky finally came back to his regular season form and just didn't play well at all. I really think that killed him too. It's just that 10-day layover. I just kind of destroyed them, and I think it would have been more interesting games if they would have had a little less time in between the games, and they jumped right into it. But I think Vegas has had all the momentum going for them, winning the Western Conference Finals, and they just took it home. And congratulations to them, and congratulations to Carlsson. He's probably still hungover. He didn't get bad as Ovechkin drunk, but I think he's second best right there.
Yeah, that interview was hilarious. that got put up everywhere, and that was pretty funny. And there was a lot of that going on. Aiden Hill, there was an interview with him, and he was pretty plastered too. Pretty funny, man. Good stuff. And yeah, I mean, you for the Florida Panthers, holy crap, man, the injuries that came out. Kachuk couldn't even get out of bed for a couple of days there, and he still was able to, get dressed with some assistance and go play. I mean, that's just crazy. That's just the stuff that hockey is nuts, man. These guys are warriors, dude.
His brother had to dress him. He couldn't literally get dressed himself. He couldn't put on his own skates. His brother had to help him all that, and that's cool too. Having your brother play in the National Hockey League, it's that love he has. He supports you. He's there at every game. The following season, he was over there cheering for him when he was on the Flames. So it's good to have that kind of tight knit. Like I know, like everyone that plays is your brother at some point, but that's your true blood brother. He really shows the love and stuff. But yeah, he's a freaking warrior, and I would love one of the Kachuk brothers to ever be on the Ducks. I think they fit the style of play I like, and the style of play that should be in today's NHL. You have that tough grittiness, and they're willing to drop the gloves and hit the shit out of you. But they're also put up those production points and are superstars in the league, so that's good to see.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, those guys. I mean, it's every team in the playoffs. They're getting beat down. You play an 82-game season, and then if you make it to the Stanley Cup final, you're talking about 4, potentially 7-game series. Obviously, they don't all go the distance, but I mean that's a lot of hockey, and that's brutal. So they really put it all out there. I think they ran out of steam, kind of like what you talked about. They had a little bit of a break in there. It just didn't quite work out for them, but it was pretty crazy. I mean, it was good. I did want to see the final go a couple more games, but Vegas pulled off in 5. I was glad to go to game 1 and watch it too. That was excitement as well, seeing all the fans, and Vegas was just nuts. Just a fun time overall. I did crack up too when the Vegas Knights or T-Mobile Arena, I guess, did put up the Ducks logo against the Knights logo for Game 5. That was kind of funny. I know we were cracking a lot of jokes about, hey, we made it to the Stanley Cup final, and the Ducks are going to be in it for one game. So kind of funny to see a little mix-up like that. They did get it fixed by the time that the game started, but kind of weird that happened. It happened to be our team that they mixed up the logos with, Eddie.
Yeah, maybe it's a foreshadowing thing for something in the next 20 years, and I see the Ducks in the Stanley Cup final, but no, I'm just kidding. It's just a little frustration humor from being a Ducks fan. But yeah, that was funny to see. It got a lot of attention. So I don't know why that mix-up was, or if the Golden Knights just really feel sorry for us and they hate it. They dislike us less than the Kings. But that was actually fun to see, and hopefully that's going to come to fruition soon if we ever play in a Stanley Cup final again. It seems like it's forever, and it seems like it's far that we're going to get there, but we have a lot of promising young players, so I'm looking forward to the future.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some of those. We'll actually start getting into the Duck stuff. Oh, by the way, don't forget we are part of the Old City Sports Network. You can check us out. All the sponsors in the description box on there. We have Righteous Felon, which is a good beef jerky sponsor. Go in there and check it out. For discounts, the code is OCSN on there as well. So I forgot to get that in there. But part of the Old City Sports Network. With the Ducks, the Stanley Cup final was done. You then shifted gears towards the draft. And then before the draft, we found out that the Ducks were going to reveal their 30th anniversary jersey at the draft day party that they had at Honda Center on day 1. Found out that from some people who I will, they were nameless, but some people told me that the jersey was going to be Mighty Purple. It was the 30th anniversary jersey, and then I got tipped off at the last minute that the Wild Wing patch from the 90s was going to be the main logo. And then our guy Aaron was on scene there at the event. He was able to get us photos, and we posted that out right away. And then everybody went nuts. It was it's kind of interesting, the reaction from this jersey. People on Twitter, we had a poll, and a lot of you loved it or liked it. And then there was maybe a third of you that either hated it or, as I put, it's a no for me. So that was kind of interesting on Twitter, because then the reactions on Facebook and Instagram were super negative towards this jersey. But what did you think, Eddie? I mean, the Ducks. We did talk about this on the last couple shows, and we said how, hey, they're probably not going to redo the home and away jersey. They're going to have some kind of 30th anniversary jersey. We hope that they go back to the Mighty Ducks days, which they did. They didn't use the Mighty Duck logo from the past. They used a shoulder patch instead. What was your take? Because, I mean, so many people had just crazy opinions about this jersey. I think it's the most talked about Ducks jersey that I can remember in recent years.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to drop my first few F-bombs right here. But first thing I want to say is fuck all you other websites that stole his picture and didn't give him credit for it. It's just, he comes over there, posts a picture, we post it through DucksNPucks, and every other site goes and steals it. And when I called him out, only one person responded back and changes it on one of their platforms. But I'm not going to name the people I called out, but everyone that you saw that picture that got posted, I wrote them a DM and called them out. You guys are pieces of shit, and fuck you guys if you're going to steal a picture like that. Have some integrity, especially you bigger sites that are supposed to be completely 110% professional, and you do that. And one of the pages actually talks about plagiarism and not stealing any content, and they're over there doing the same exact thing they preach about. But a bunch of fucking hypocrites. With that said, I think my F-bombs are over, so I'll go and use the word fugly to describe this new Anaheim Ducks jersey. It was just absolutely disgusting. It looks like a 6-year-old kind of drew it. I thought it was a joke. I was like, is it April? Is someone screwing with me? This jersey was just totally unprofessional looking, disgusting. This jersey sums up the Anaheim Ducks last season, and it might sum up the Anaheim Ducks going forward next season, the kind of season they're going to have. The color and the scheme, everything in the jersey looks beautiful. The logo looks like it should be a shoulder patch. It's disgusting. Me, almost blocked out drunk, designed something on my phone with less than 5 minutes that looked 110 times better, and everyone would have been happy with the original logo that I did post on the DucksNPucks page, that it would have hit the point better. It's just, this is one of those horrible jerseys, and this is probably I collect jerseys, but I'm not going to go spend the money. I'll probably just buy the Fanatics version of this jersey, not have the authentic one, just to have it. But it's something I would never wear. It's just disgusting. And what makes it worse is that disgusting advertisement that Ducks went and had got. It's just horrible. It's some complex company, some townhome company, and a lot of fans are upset about that too. One of the fans wrote back saying how they have horrible customer reviews, and it's Western National Property Management, how horrible they are with their management team, how sucky and shitty they are. And what makes matters worse too about this, and my event's almost over, how they had the nerve to say, hey, well, if you buy our jersey officially from the team store, we're going to donate $10 back to local charities and the communities. $10? That's just totally and utterly offensive and stupid. You're going to just donate $10 if you have all this money to put your stupid, disgusting logo on our jerseys that are sacred to all hockey fans. And you're going to go ahead and just insult people by saying you're going to give $10 back to local charities. You guys are pieces of shits too. Now I know why the ratings are so bad. And come on, I think I don't. I'm probably going to donate, and I probably have donated more than you're going to ever donate with your little $10 per first 1,000 jerseys and ever. It's just so stupid. So good luck with that. And I would never wear the advertisement on my jersey, and I'm going to buy it from other places, which I'll post on my personal page, where they're not going to ever put advertisements on jerseys, because I think it's the most disgusting and disgraceful thing to ever come from hockey. And it's just all a big money grab, and they're trying so hard to be shitty like the NBA and the NFL. I guess they're trying to match their revenue. You're never going to do that. Hockey's never going to be that popular in the United States. Sorry to tell you that, but you throwing the advertisements on these jerseys and continuing to water on the sport, you're going to lose. Your passionate fans have been there from day one till now. So keep doing what you're doing, NHL and Anaheim Ducks. It's just not working out for me.
So Eddie, you didn't like the jersey? I wasn't really sure. You didn't like it? Well.
You know what? They say when you have a few beers, the other person looks a lot better. I don't know. I guess I kept drinking that day and chugging beers faster, hoping I would like it. But no, it was disgusting. No, don't get me wrong. I'll kind of end my rant with something positive. The color scheme and the idea of it, perfect. The logo is not bad. The logo is a good logo, but it deserves to be on the shoulder patch, not the way it is. Or you could have done something with that original old school shoulder patch and incorporated the old school logo with the hockey sticks, but that little circle thing, it just didn't do it for me, and that's just it's terrible. They could have just cheated. They could have cheated like I did in my stats class years ago, and just threw back the original eggplant Mighty Ducks jersey, and everyone would have been happy. The whole universe would have aligned. You would have had Kim Jong-un from North Korea saying he's not going to be a dictator anymore, and he's just going to let his people do whatever they want. Everyone would have been happy. Kim Jong-un probably would have bought a Mighty Ducks jersey too. I don't know. I'm ranting now more, but it just give the people what they want. Your fan base, I want to say 95% of them are telling you what they want, and you need to go and do the opposite. I don't know. Maybe Chicago's running the Anaheim Ducks or something like that. They want to just sabotage us even more. Maybe the LA Kings owner secretly bought out the Ducks, and we don't know, and they just want to just crap on all the fans. But yeah, and no, I do not like the jersey, Mike. So I probably should have said that in the beginning.
No,
if it wasn't clear.
Yeah, it wasn't. I wasn't really sure, man. I wasn't sure. No, but I mean, I'm with you. I think part of the frustration is a lot of people, especially when it kind of got leaked out that it was going to be a Mighty Ducks themed jersey. People were excited, and then when it ended up being that Wild Wing patch on the chest, that was like the number one complaint. I think most people that are listening to this and did comment on all our social media about it are with you. They liked the colors going back to the original, color scheme. Even the changing with the lines and stuff, they're not diagonal, but they're straight. Most people like that. Some people didn't, but overall, that was all executed well. It was just the logo on the chest. It almost made me think, too, if you remember the Coho jersey that was black and purple, if they even would have used that, maybe it would have been kind of cool if they would have put the Anaheim Ducks, diagonal with that and maybe incorporated the sticks or something. I don't know. I thought that might have been, another option that they could have done. I don't hate the jersey. I don't love the jersey. It's just kind of like, I'm like Eddie. I'm going to buy it. I don't know if I'm going to wear it to a game, though, to be honest. I really don't know if I will. I'll buy it because it's the 30th anniversary jersey. And I'm 100% with Eddie on the sponsor patch. I mean, this is a 30th anniversary jersey, and you're putting a sponsor patch on there. I think that's complete BS. I know you guys don't like the sponsor because you guys destroyed the sponsor on Twitter to the point where they closed their account. I don't know if you guys don't know.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So fans, you guys are amazing. Yep. And now it's like that's awesome. I love you guys. That's just. I read some of the comments on Facebook and Instagram how the displeasure. I didn't know they really went after them. I hope they weren't doing anything inappropriate, just voicing their frustration, not making death threats or anything stupid like that. I just really hope they were just voicing their displeasure. And I think the biggest thing for a company would have done was to buy the ad space and not put an ad, because that would have spoke volumes throughout the whole entire league, and they would have got so much attention. They would have got so much revenue, and they would have got free advertising, because I think every news outlet, every analyst, every blog, everything out there would have went and said, hey, this advertising company did something against advertising code, bought advertising space, but chose not to put it on there to keep the integrity of the jersey. That's something that would have done. If I won the lottery, that's something I would have done. I would have just bought ad space and not put the ad on the jersey.
Yeah, a lot of it, I mean, I didn't see anything too inappropriate, at least from the comments that I saw. I mean, I didn't look at everything, but of the ones I saw, I guess the biggest thing with this company is just the fees that they charge or the taxes that they charge. I think someone posted their rating, and their rating was 1 star out of 5.
Oh,
I mean, there was a lot of stuff on there that basically, The customer service of this company is horrible. So to me, that's on the Ducks. Like, you guys should have researched better and got a sponsor that had a better reputation. So not only did you throw a logo on a special edition jersey, but you threw on a crap company. I mean, at least from what the review said, I'm just going by what people said. I have no experience with this company. I don't know them. I don't own any property. I don't know people that own property from them, whatever. But based upon the reviews on their website, the fact that they canceled their Twitter account, which, you know, I mean, I don't know. It kind of backfired, really. It did not work out well. And it's you know, I don't know. When I get that jersey, trust me, I'm going to find a way to take that W and get rid of it. I'm getting rid of that thing off there for sure. Or I'm going to get it through Cool Hockey or someone else, hopefully, that doesn't sell it, you know, with that patch. But
yeah, Cool Hockey stated too that they're not going to sell jerseys or patches on their jerseys. It's going to be just full integrity jerseys. So I guess technically it won't be authentic because the authentic one would have that jersey, but that patch on their jersey. But I'd rather wear that. And I you know what, Mike? I do plan to buy 2 of them because I'm just going to strip that logo off and add my own logo like I did with the one I wear, the black one, which I have to post on DucksNPucks. I remember I said last show I was going to post it. I totally forgot, so I'll go ahead and make that mental note down, or actually write it down because my mental notes suck. And I'll post the jersey that I custom made. I just bought a custom logo off eBay and had him stitch it on at the cleaners down the street for me. So that was kind of cool. So I think I'll just go ahead and do that and add the logo that I actually want on this jersey and not the one that they have, and I'll be happy to wear that.
yeah, and you know, you talked about the edit that you did. There's a couple other edits out there that people did with the Mighty Ducks logo with either the teal triangles or silver triangles. Any one of those would have been better. I'm just hoping down the road that's what the Ducks do. Like, this is what I would do. I know it's the 30th anniversary jersey, and they're probably going to wear it like 3 times this season, so whoop-de-doo. That's why I'm maybe not as mad about it. But what the Ducks should do is, I don't know, this is my take. I would take the 3rd jersey that has the Mighty Ducks logo. I would make that the home jersey. Then I would do another Mighty Ducks jersey with the Mighty Ducks logo in white for the away jersey is what I would do. And then we could figure out a new 3rd jersey down the road. That's what I would do. I think that's what most of you out there listening would like, because people like the reverse retro. The reverse retro jersey was the Ducks' original jersey, but in new colors. And I can tell you right now, a lot more people like that jersey than this 30th anniversary jersey. So if they do like a spinoff on that as the away jersey, and then that you have the orange for home, and as long as you got the Mighty Duck theme stuff, I think it'll work out a lot better. But yeah, it's unfortunate. They had an opportunity to really, really kill it with this jersey, and instead they just threw a dud. I mean, they had. I like the lettering on the back. I like the design, everything. But the crest, to me, it's a no. You know, in that vote that we had love it, like it, hate it. I'm kind of between I like it, but it's also a no for me because I like the overall jersey, but I don't like the logo on the chest. So that's where I'm going to go read some comments too. You guys went nuts on Instagram, so I want to give you guys some shout outs for some of the things that you said on here, because some of them are similar to what we had in our group chat too. But you know, we had I think you mentioned this one too, Eddie. Jay, it's me. Andrew said, was it just delivered from China? You had a guy, I forgot who, someone on Facebook said, can you buy this at Alibaba.com? We're doing like mean tweets. We're doing like mean IG posts, I guess, on this jersey. You had, Hey,
that's a good idea. Next time we have something like this, let's screenshot them, and then we could add it to the original post, like a mean tweet thing. We can add their tweets and just make sure that it's okay with them. But I think that the fans would like that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's in line with what you guys said. You had Rollerhead 99. A bootleg jersey looks better than this. You had VTD 97, just like Eddie and I said. The stupid sponsor patch shouldn't be on there. Should have been the 30th anniversary patch. I'm 100% with you. Yeah, why isn't it the 30th with the sticks on there instead of that thing? And then you had, I think you mentioned this too, Eddie, when it first came out. We have Jason Vision. He said, looks like a beer league jersey. So,
oh yeah, because I remember like I was supposed to show him some of my beer league jerseys. Some of my beer league jerseys, I have creative friends, and they did a really good job. I'm not that creative on designing jerseys. I know what I want in a jersey. But yeah, that was a really good comment. That's probably my favorite comment. But yeah, I just still post you those my beer league jersey. I got to get them out of my bag. But yeah, thank you guys for tweeting out those, and it's just that was awesome. And it's reading all your comments. And I get stressed out a lot, and my life is kind of complicated with work and the business right now. So it's just when I can wind down and have a few drinks or a few hundred drinks and just kind of go on Ducks and Pucks and read some of the comments about it, and a lot of your support too. It really just lifts me up. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate that. And I do want to just apologize too about I'm not trying to bash whoever designed these jerseys. So I appreciate how they took the effort to create these. It's just, as hockey fans, we're really rough, and we're going to speak our mind. And obviously, the majority of us have spoken. It's just jersey didn't work for us. Sorry. Pass. You are the weakest link. Remember that old show. Goodbye.
Yeah. So like we said, it's a swing and a miss, unfortunately, and we'll just leave it at that. I know we've kind of destroyed this whole jersey thing, but I mean, you guys did too as well. I was honestly surprised Twitter that people actually more voted that they liked it than hated it. I was surprised because Instagram and Facebook, oh my God, you guys destroyed this jersey. I was laughing my ass off. Because everybody was upset also about the draft because the Ducks took Carlsson instead of Fantilli, and we'll get into that now. That was a huge issue. So a lot of people said the Ducks took 2 L's on draft day. So,
hey, well, you know what? Maybe 2 negatives equal a positive. I don't know if that works. I was going to ask you too, Mike. I know you were on your vacation. I'm glad you went. I've never been to the Grand Canyon, so I'm hoping to go. Did you watch the draft from where you were? I saw you post a picture of TV.
Yeah.
Where did you watch it?
So I actually went to the Grand Canyon Brewery. Jesus, I can't even talk myself. I'm not even that buzzed. Good Lord, yeah, too much wine. I'm a wino. No, I went to the Grand Canyon Brewery. Hello, and we put it on, and I watched round 1 while we were there because the first day of the draft we didn't go to the Grand Canyon. We were in a little town called Williams, and they have a lot of bars and stuff there, which is really cool. Yeah, so we were there that day. And then on day 2, we took a train from there up to the Grand Canyon. Fantastic experience. And I was monitoring everything on the train basically on day 2 because my dumb ass planned this trip and I didn't realize it was draft week, as an idiot. But it all worked out. I was able to do it. And yeah, I was watching on a bar and it was so funny. There were other people in there. I'm like, we were all joking about Fantilli and the Ducks are going to get him. Then it comes up on there, and I took the screenshot, and it was Carlsson. I was like, oh, okay. And there were other people out there that hinted at Carlsson, right? We heard different people do that on social media, and people were like, no, they're going to get Fantilli. I think that the big loser of the day is not the Ducks, even though if you didn't like the jersey and you wanted Fantilli instead of Carlsson, I get it. But the big loser was the fan with the Fantilli jersey at the draft, Eddie, that there was a ton of photos of that guy. How about that guy? Really?
Oh, poor guy. I don't want to call him a loser. He's like, I don't know him. I wouldn't go to call him a loser, but I feel bad for him. It sucks for him. Hopefully he's part of Southern California. Just DM me. I'll send you some beer or something. 'Cause I know he probably was really fuck, walking by himself. It has to be a meme somewhere of him doing that. But yeah, I was actually watching this experience at Laverne Brewing Company, and the owner is a big Ducks fan. So, and unfortunately, there was 2 people from Chicago there, so they were happy. Course. Actually, from Chicago, not Illinois, and they were but they were a really cool couple. Good shout out to them, and we're just talking, and they were like, "Yeah, we deserve that. The Ducks deserve the first overall pick," and blah blah blah. So they were a really good conversation. They knew their hockey too, so I was able to really have intellectual conversation with them with hockey. But yeah, I want to shout out that brewery. The owners are really, really, really big Ducks hockey fan. He always plays out in the big projection. He puts priority for hockey first when the Ducks are playing. So I was talking to him. I do want to try to plan, Mike, some unofficial Ducks and Pucks watch parties over here toward the Los Angeles County area because I live in Claremont and the brewery's in Laverne. Yeah. So if you guys if you guys are in the area of Laverne, Claremont, San Dimas, or anywhere within 20 miles, and you guys would be willing to do a watch party, I can bring some stuff. Mike can probably show up. We can have an unofficial watch party and start branching out more to the fans that listen to us, or kind of my area, and can go there, have a good time on the big screen, projection, have great beers, and we can just all watch some hockey and be cool. So if you guys want that, go ahead and send us a DM on Ducks and Pucks, or you can DM my personal page, Argonzo444, or I can start getting an account, and I can talk to the owner, and we can plan some kind of thing, and maybe he can throw some drink specials and food specials too, just to do something different for next season.
Yeah, I'm totally down. We can try and plan that for sure. Always good to look at different places. We also probably still do Noble Ale Works too. This next season, I got to talk to Josh, but I'm sure we'll be over there too. We had a couple good ones there. We had one, I forgot, it was raining like crazy, and we still had a bunch of people at that one last year, so that was fun as well. But yeah, we can look into that for sure, man. What did you think though about this first pick? Like, were you upset that they didn't pick Fantilli? Did you think they missed out? They should have taken him instead of Carlsson? Because, I mean, that was the other part of the day. People weren't happy about the jersey, and then they weren't happy about the Ducks, second overall pick. Like, a lot of people were upset on day one of the draft.
Yeah, I don't think, like our writer Thomas always says, you can't go wrong with the first 3 or 4 draft picks. Like, even if they went with Will Smith, you just can't go wrong with it. You're getting superstar/franchise type of players. The Fantilli thing, I lost my, my taste for him listening some of his interviews. He was just like whatever with the Ducks. It didn't seem like his priority. His excitement wasn't there. Usually when you're a rookie and you're ready to be drafted, you're more enthusiastic about, oh, do you have an interview with this team? Oh, yeah, I talked to them. He was just like, oh, yeah, we talked. Oh, have you looked up anything about Anaheim? No, I haven't. It's like, bro, like, you're a rookie and you just... That arrogance and cockiness is coming in already. Yeah, I get it. You're the shit. You won the Hobie Baker. Only 2 other players, Eichel and Paul Correa, won it as a freshman. So yeah, you're the shit. But you have some more class. And just the interviews that I heard from other podcasts, like NHL podcasts and stuff like that, he just had some arrogant attitude, cocky attitude. It just acted like his shit don't stink. Like, you're a rookie, you have to kind of earn your place in the NHL. But I guess today's generation is kind of leaning toward where everything's given to them and the entitlement. That's what really rubbed me off the wrong way. That's why I wasn't too upset when they didn't pick him, because I really 110% believe he wouldn't have been playing with the Ducks. He already went on record. The NHL website posted of him saying he wanted to play for the Blue Jackets because he had friends that went to the same school he did, or college, I'm sorry. He had other alumni there, so he really wanted to go there and make an impact. So it's just when they drafted Leo Carlsson, I was just like, okay, the only thing I was upset about was how they didn't try to trade down. Like, hey, Columbus wanted him. They needed that centerman. The Ducks didn't really need a centerman like that. We have McTavish, we have Zegras, those 1-2 punches that are going to just evolve and be awesome and even greater players than they are. So they didn't really need that. But Columbus has desperately needed a center that they can build around. And Ducks could have just exploited that and took advantage and said, hey, offer us something or we're going to take him. Blah, blah, blah. If you want to wait 3 years, if he hasn't signed with us, or something like you could have had a bargaining chip and got some kind of assets to trade down. And Verbeek stating that he was never an intention to trade down. Why not? Fantilli was the number 1 choice for the Columbus Blue Jackets to pick. They weren't going to pick Leo Carlsson. The San Jose Sharks went on record saying that they wanted Carlsson. So we already knew what the teams needed, and I just wish they would have traded down and got some kind of asset for that. But no, I'm happy with Carlsson. I think he's going to have a fantastic career. I've been watching video on him too, and he's going to be a great and special player. I do like, on a personal note too, he mentions his stuttering and how he's had that all his life, because I have that too. Especially when I get nervous or I'm trying to think, like, my mind fires off way too fast in 100 different directions sometimes, so I can't always really think what I'm saying. So I have that stutter too, but he's so open and like talk about it. Just that maturity level, the interview I heard from him, I do like that about him, and I think he's going to put in the work and to really, I guess, really step up to earn that number 2 spot. I'm sure these young players, they all have social media, that they know what fans are saying about them. I'm sure he's aware that fans are upset that they didn't get Fantilli. So I think he's going to just go that extra mile and work just as hard as Fantilli, if not harder, to really prove and solidify the fact that he was the number 2 overall pick and make an impact on the Ducks roster.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. And I think for the people that are upset that the Ducks didn't take Fantilli. I'm with you too. He didn't really have a warm, fuzzy feeling about the Ducks. If the Ducks could have traded down, that would have been good. We didn't see a lot of that in the draft. A lot of teams were happy with where they were at and what they were going to take. So I get it. Knowing what we know now, I see where you're going with that. But for the people that are not happy about the Ducks getting Fantilli, don't take it out on Carlsson. Please don't. I mean, these guys are 17, 18, 19-year-old. I mean, they're doing what they can. They want to be in the NHL and whatnot. So I mean, it sounds like he's happy to be here. He's busting his ass at the development camp, which is going on right now. And from Verbeek, he talks about how he has a good hockey IQ, good skill, good creativity. I think if barring the interviews and however it was with Fantilli, whatever, but just looking at the two players, I think Verbeek went with Carlsson because he thinks he's the more complete player. I'm not saying that that's the truth or whatever. I'm just saying that maybe that's what he looks at. I think Fantilli is more NHL ready now, today, and that's why I think he was ranked higher and he could have gone first, like if Bedard wasn't in this draft. So maybe Verbeek thinks that Carlsson overall will be a more complete guy down the road. I don't know. That's just kind of the logic from what I read and his comments and things like that. That's kind of what I think why he did what he did. Whether you agree with it or not, that's what he's going with. So I still think Carlsson's going to be awesome. I think he's going to do great for this team. He's wearing number 37, so we'll have to see what number McTavish is going to wear. A little bit of a change there. But, man, I mean, there was just so much drama on that first day. People did not like the jersey, did not like the pick. I was like, holy smokes, dude. And, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I even called you that day, too. Called you. I stopped and got more beer. I had my Uber driver stop and get me more beer. Because you know what's funny? Actually, I had a business meeting with my brother because we both run my former dad's company. Rest in peace, Dad. So we went and met up at a local brewery. My brother's like, it's dead here. I'm like, yeah, but they're going to play the draft. So it was cool having them, and I was kind of lit, getting more beer. And I call you to complain about the jersey. It's like I took my position out of DucksNPucks for like 5 minutes and just went full fan mode. Mike, I need to talk to you, the jersey. And you actually are like, okay, like we don't really talk like every day like that. We talk a lot for podcasts or like some kind of crisis, or if we just need to talk to someone. But I'm calling you. I'm pretty sure you kind of knew what it was about the draft and the jersey. But that was kind of fun conversation to have with you that day. But like you said, I think Ducks fans are. I know some of them seem crazy, but we're more level-headed. I know Montreal Canadiens fans, and I'm not talking about all of them, the select few. When they selected that defenseman with their pick, he got death threats on him, and they had to kind of sneak him into the development camp and not really make it known because he was getting so much negative attention. And you're calling death threats because your team didn't pick the player you want. I'm sorry, those Canadian fans, you guys are fucking pathetic, and I'll use my third F-bomb. But I think that's so disgusting, and that's not what hockey's about. If you're going to sit there and DM some 17-year-old telling me you're going to kill him because the team picked him, let him have his day. That's one of the most important days of his life, is being selected in the NHL and earning that spot with their overall picks. And it just and it was a lot of fans that were doing it too, Mike. That's what makes it even more sad. So I really, it sucks to read about that and see that. But I really hope he comes in and kicks ass in the NHL and he tears it up and becomes their next generational player. So their fans can actually kind of bite their tongues or cut off their fingers, whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, same thing. The people getting upset, with Carlsson being picked instead of Fantilli, you need to chill out. And the same thing in that other situation you mentioned. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Like I said, these are 17, 18, 19-year-old kids, man, that are just happy to break through all those practices that they've gone to, all those games they've played, the things that their mom and dads have driven them to, all that stuff that they've done, the commitment from 4 or 5 years old, and having all that support around the family and the expensive, all the gear, and then they grow older, you got to get other gear. I mean, hockey is not an easy sport. It's not, I'm not taking away from other sports, but, basketball, you just need tennis shoes and a basketball on a court, right? I mean, I'm not trying to downplay it. Basketball is a good sport too, but with hockey, you have to buy so much gear, and you have to get ice time, which is hard. You can't always get that depending on where you live. There's a lot of stuff that goes into developing into a hockey player and then getting a chance to play in the NHL. So for anybody that took it out on those guys or anybody, like, you're just a loser. I mean, that's not fair. That's not fair to these guys. And like you said, Eddie, it's their day, and it's their day with their family. It's a culmination of 10, 12 years of dedication to the sport, and then it culminates with being drafted by an NHL team. I mean, that's special, man. Like, regardless what you do in your career, you're still drafted by an NHL team. I mean, that's like, man, that is just awesome. I mean, same with the other sports, being drafted by NFL, baseball, basketball, whatever. So that's the unfortunate part about it. But
Another note too. I mean, we mentioned McTavish, the number thing. I would say, just to get off this negative thing too, because it's like boiling my blood too. And you made some comments about like how their parents, their mother, their father, even their families, how much time and effort they put into these kids to get them where they are, day in and day out. The expenses, like, I didn't grow up with money at all. I didn't grow up like, so it's like all my equipment, I had to, like, my dad spending all that money me to play hockey. I really appreciate that. That's why when I wanted to quit playing hockey before he passed away, I thought about quitting, but then he passed away and I want to keep playing. So yeah, I really appreciate that. But to kind of end this on a better note, well, not end it, but kind of like throw my 2 cents into this about McTavish, the jersey change. He won number 23. He wore that World Junior, so it seems like he would just kind of go that route. Maybe, I don't know. I know Boschman wore 23, if I'm not mistaken, right, for the Ducks.
Yeah, it seems like that's going to be the number. I think you're right, because that's the one he wore for a lot of his career before the NHL. So I think you're right. I think that will be the switch for sure, definitely. And yeah. But with the draft, I thought it was interesting. We had some people ask us, hey, what did we think? We had Halen Princess 86. What do we think of the draft? So outside of that first round pick, just kind of go over it briefly. I'm not really going to dive too deep into what the Ducks did, but they held on to all their picks. They didn't trade anybody. They actually did a lot of forwards or centers early on. They had Nico Majakovic, they had Kerry Terrence, Colson Petrie, Yegor Sidorov. Those are all the forwards that they took in their early round picks. And the Ducks went with size too. All these guys are 6 foot or taller. So a lot of that, even on defense too. And then they also picked a goalie in there, Damian Clara, 6'6". They talk about him having his size and being, very coordinated. Still needs a little bit of more development or some consistency, but it was interesting. They went with a lot of forwards. First 5 out of 6 picks were centers or wingers, then the one goalie. And it kind of seemed like the reoccurring theme with most of these players is that they, good offense, attacking the net, playing with intensity. I know Petrie is one that they talked about going into the dirty areas, playing with his body. They talked about Terrence and how he can finish with his scoring chances. Majakovic, they like how he back checks as well as create chances for his line mates. So interesting the way that they started this out, Eddie. It seemed the theme was that they wanted skillful forwards. They also wanted big players. And then the late picks, they went with defensemen. And I'm thinking that's because you've got Minty coming up, Zellweger, Lacombe. You've got these other guys that are going to be here sooner. So maybe the influence by Madden and the structure was to go with more of the forwards early and not worry so much about defensemen. I mean, I don't know 100%, but that's just how the picks kind of fell on day 2.
Yeah, and it makes 110% sense. We have a good pipeline and defense coming in. I think we're going to have a surplus of them, which is good to have. So that's going to be good. We got some gritty players that are coming in, defensemen. Hopefully they'll develop well. Majakovic, he was really excited when the Ducks drafted him. Listening to his interview after that, he was just happy the Ducks got him, and really, it's really positive. And it was good to see that smile and just. That's one thing that I would want in life, just being drafted by an NHL team and having that feeling. And you just saw it coming from this kid, so it was cool. And our new goalie we drafted, Italian goalie. I'm gonna say it, Mike. I love the Rocky movies, but I hope he makes it soon to the NHL because I want to call him the Italian Stallion. I'm gonna take Rocky Balboa's name, Sylvester Stallone. Great movies, but I think once he makes his mark on the NHL, he's a big kid too, 6'6", and who knows if he has more growing to do. But it's gonna be cool seeing him in the NHL in a Ducks uniform. Makes a huge shave and saved by Italian Stallion. It's just, I can hear that in my mind right now. Too bad I won't hear Dan Wood saying it, but
yeah, and we'll talk about Dan Wood too a little bit later in the show as well. But yeah, Italian Stallion. I've seen some people saying that already. I love Rocky too. A lot of people know that. I have a lot of Rocky Italian Stallion themed like shirts and hats and things like that, and I have all those like on my DVR set. So when my other half, she'll crack up, and if it comes on the TV, I'll watch it. Or if I'm literally doing nothing and I'm at home and I've got some free time, I'll go on there and put on a Rocky movie. I don't know. I mean, they always pump me up. I know a lot of them came out in the late 70s and the 80s and whatever, but I don't know. They always pump me up. So yeah.
Hey, you know what? Those Creed movies too were really good. I like Michael B. Jordan, and then yeah, they were pretty good too. So, and I remember during the pandemic where we started doing our podcast, I was asking fans to shoot in questions about movies. I'm a big movie buff too, so that was kind of cool. We all kind of worked through that together with movies, but yeah. That Italian Stallion, I really hope he gets out on his mask too. I think that would be kind of cool. See Italian Stallion. I don't know if he wants to be called that, but you know what? Welcome to the National Hockey League, kid. We're gonna get a nickname for you. It's gonna stick. So, T-shirts coming up soon.
And then we'll talk about the goalie situation too, because we'll say that's coming up here soon. But there's some issues in the goalie situation, just slightly, maybe. Just to round out the draft too, the Ducks. The last three picks, they went with defenseman Connor Smith, 6'5", 210. Rodwin Dionicio, 6'2", 207. And Wojtek Port, 6'2", 168. So, I mean, they went with a lot of size in this, which was good. A lot of skill, some physicality in here, too. So, I mean, overall with the draft, if as I look at it, I'd give him probably about a B grade overall. I think Thomas... I can't remember if he put a grade in his article or not, but if you didn't catch it, Thomas wrote an article summarizing all this. Thanks for helping out while I was out of town, Thomas, but he covered all that. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I felt. I felt like they got like a B. What did you think? If you were to give them a grade before we move on here, Eddie, what would you give the Ducks for this draft?
I think it's fair to say a B. I don't think you can go wrong with the size they brought in and with the skill level they brought in. I mean, obviously Leo Carlsson is going to rank up and be the outlier of why that rating's more than it is. A lot of people, I think a lot of people shat on him too because they were so focused on Fantilli and the hype about him and all the videos and everyone saying Fantilli this, Fantilli that. But I don't really think they did their due diligence and really dove down and dissected the skill level of the draft. I think it just kind of went with what was on social media, what was trending. Thomas is a really good subject. He's our subject matter expert, not just our subject matter expert. He's an expert on the prospects and what it takes. He does a lot of research, watches a lot of video on these players. So when he says that no matter the first 4 picks are going to be game changers, I'm going to go with his word and believe him. And I have to go back and read his rating on that, but I'll say B. But whatever Thomas says, I'm gonna go with him because I really trust his expertise on this matter and how he breaks down all these draft picks and these rookies, and he really does his homework and knows what he's talking about. And a lot of the articles too, and what he's talked about these players has really came to fruition, and how he grades them and how he watches them develop. So I'm gonna hold my rating right now until I go back and read Thomas's article. And Thomas, I did read your article. I loved it, but like I said, my mind gets fried when I'm working my normal job and running a business. So it's sad to go back and reread that. But yeah, I would agree with Thomas's rating, whatever he said, because I trust his expertise on this.
Yeah, he does do a ton for us. So if you haven't checked out the articles, go back and read them. He really helps out, especially during the summertime. Before we get to free agency, just remember this is part of the Old City Sports Network. Another one of our sponsors is Norse Beards. For all your grooming needs, check them out, norsebeards.com. Also OCSN for a discount. All our other sponsors I'll put in the comment box. So, all right, with that, the Ducks then, we had the 2 days of the draft, and then following the end of the week, you had the free agency, and people were kind of curious what the Ducks were going to do, and they made some big splashes. They went out and got Alex Killorn for a 4-year deal, just over $6 million each year, and Radko Gudas for 3 years at $4 million. And then they picked up a couple smaller ones, Trevor Carrick, yes, Sam's brother, and Robert Haig. So they brought in these guys. Shattenkirk ended up going to Boston for 1 year, and Stolarz went to Florida for 1 year. So I like what the Ducks did. We've talked about this team having size and having snarl and grit and edge and all those kind of terms, and that's been lacking for this team. And I like that they went out and got these guys. You have Killorn, who had career high in points, goals, and assists last season. This guy's been to the Stanley Cup final 3 times, won it twice. You had Gudas. Obviously they went to the final this year, didn't make it. Verbeek is familiar with both of these players with his time in Tampa Bay. They both. Gudas was also in Tampa Bay back in the day. So I like it. I was surprised that they got these guys. I mean, it's not surprising in the fact that Verbeek knew him, but just to see him go out and make some splashes. I think we were so used to bargain bin Bob and getting these tiny things like that. Like, bringing back Carrick would have been like all bargain Bob would have done, maybe, probably. But I like what they did. Carrick's more of a depth move. Obviously, Haig, I talked to Jesse about, said he's very solid, stay-at-home defenseman. Obviously, he's a bottom pairing guy, but he said for people that are going to talk trash on him that, that's misguided. And both those guys, Haig and Carrick, are 6'2". Like, the average height of all these players that the Ducks picked up, free agency and draft, are 6'2". So I was very happy with these. What did you think, Eddie? I know some people did not like Killorn's contract in terms of the value and the 4 years. Also, Gudas and Killorn did have no trade clauses in there. They had like a full thing for both of them early in the contract, and they have some modified as the contract goes on. But what did you think? Did you think these were overpayments for some of these guys? The contract should have been shorter, or you like it? What's your take on the free agency so far for the Ducks?
Yeah, I was actually working right now on texting Jesse to get him on the show real quick to talk about Haig. And talk about we forgot to mention the whole Mitchkov thing.
Yes.
When we talked about the draft. So if Jesse texts me back, I'll bring him on the show real quick, especially with Haig, because with Haig, I liked him in Philadelphia. I think he was, like you said, he's solid, and he's a solid defenseman. He what he brings. He's gonna do his job. He's not gonna do anything flashy. He's not gonna do anything crazy. So it's you get what you get. You get what you pay for. He's not going to give you anything less, and only going to give you more. Carrick was a good signing. You bring his brother back, so that's a positive thing. Okay, let's go with Killorn. Killorn, yes, his contract is a little bit high for his age, but what he brings is more than just I guess skill level. He brings a veteran leadership. He brings a winning mentality. He knows what it takes to be on the low and then come back and be high. I think you're paying that extra money not just for what he did is his career high in points and stuff like that. You're bringing what he can actually bring in a veteran leadership and how to shape this team and make an identity. I think that's really important. I think at first, I saw that, but his age, but then really divulging this and going deep down into this thing, I think it was the right move. I think it was the right player to get, and I think he's only going to help the Ducks transition of not being losers and being winners. So I think this is a good signing. I don't know if you want to add more to that, Mike, before we jump into Gudas.
It's just kind of the same what you said. I think a lot of it's the leadership, like you mentioned. That's what Verbeek talked about. Bringing in, you got 2 guys with experience and playoff experience and being mentors to help develop this team and get them out of this rebuild and get them onto a winning mentality like you talked about, Eddie.
Yeah. Gudas, I think everyone that's been listening to this show since I've been on it, and everyone knew I love this. And I don't care if it's maybe a little bit of an overpayment, but you're bringing a veteran defenseman, stay-at-home defenseman, which the Ducks desperately need. You're bringing grit. You're bringing someone that if you mess with one of our young guys, you're going to have to F with him and his amazing beard. I think this is one of the best beards we're going to have in our franchise history, one of the best. And I think he's going to really solidify how it takes to be a defenseman, not just one of those offensive defensemen you're going to go over there and try to run and gun, but he's going to really teach these younger ones coming up what the true meaning is being a defenseman. And I always said, too, this whole defenseman award that gets given out, it seems like it gets given out, the Norris Award gets given out for the most offensively talented you are, which I disagree with. I think it should be broken up into two trophies, an offensive defenseman award, the Norris, or I guess the main one, the Norris, and then an offensive one, maybe like a Bobby Orr kind of renaming it or something like that. But I think this category should be broken up because being a good defenseman is not just really doing things offensively. I think that's one of the least things you should be, I guess, credited for being a best defenseman. You got to shut down people. You got to force them wide and make your life for your goalie easier. So I think Gudas is going to bring that. And number one too, Gudas is going to start forming an identity for this team. You don't want to mess with him. He's one of those guys, if you're playing against him, you're going to think twice about taking runs at people. In any professional, any sports you play, if you just play beer league, you play softball, soccer, there's always those players that you know that you have to watch out for, that if you really kind of test those waters and test that line, they're going to come and tax that ass, and I think Gudas is one of those players, and I'm really glad and was really excited about this signing. I don't care if it's a little bit of an overpayment. The term is really well. Thomas agreed with that too about the term, and Thomas wanted some defensemen to come and sign with the Ducks on some good term. But the Ducks are a last place team. California gets taxed a hell of a lot, so we're going to have to overpay a lot of our free agency players that we're going to bring here. So it is what it is, and we got two amazing players that we can kind of have our young guns build off from. So I think overall, and if you want to ask for a grade on free agency so far, Mike, I want to say it's an A.
Yeah, I agree. I was surprised, like you mentioned the taxes. I was surprised that Killorn and Gudas wanted to come here because if you live in California, the taxes here are insanely stupid. And these guys are both playing in Florida, so that's why I thought that the contracts would be a little bit higher because that's just the way it is. Sorry, I can't stand some things about California, even though I was born and raised here. But that was a big thing.
Preach, same
yeah. I don't want to bash the state too much, but anyways, the tax thing was kind of interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, Verbeek knows these guys. He brought them over. You've got mentors now on offense and defense. You got some depth signings on defense. I mean, you've got some stuff to where, I think the Ducks are going to be a lot better this year. I mean, no, they're not going to be a contender. Of course not. But, this whole thing signals to me that, hey, we're not going to be stuck in this rebuild. We're not going to be hanging out the bottom. We're not going to keep losing. Verbeek's like, okay, I got to get these guys in the right mentality. I got to get them starting to win games, start thinking the other way. And get going. So that's what I liked about this. I think overall that these are great. And the Ducks are still below the cap. They've got Zegras, Terry, Grew, Drysdale, and Dostal still to sign. They're all RFAs. They're working on that. Terry's in arbitration right now. So the Ducks need to try to work something out by July 20th. If not, then the arbitrator decides it. But, I think they're in a good spot. We had some people that were concerned. We had King Caden 13-19, worried about not signing Zegras right away. Maverick 87 talking about the kind of contracts that we'd get for the RFAs. Well, I mean, I'm not really worried about any of this. The Ducks own the rights. These guys are all going to come back. Grew and Dostal, they're not going to get huge contracts. They're going to get probably shorter ones, not as expensive. Obviously, Terry and Zegras, I would think we get higher ones. Really depends on Terry if it goes to arbitration or not, because if it goes to arbitration, then they're going to figure that out. And then, of course, Drysdale as well. So I think that's kind of why that tied in with getting Gudas and Killorn and their amounts. The Ducks are just under the cap, minimum. But I think that stuff's got to shake out before, seeing what they're going to do next. I know some people talking about DeBrincat and Nylander and things like that. I don't know if I see those guys coming out for the Ducks because just they want a lot and they still got to figure out these RFAs. Obviously, this all depends maybe on Gibson, which we'll get into that here in just a minute because of so much stuff going on with him. That's kind of where we'll wrap up the show, plus a couple other fan questions too. But I like it overall. I'm with you, Eddie, too. He said an A. I give it an A, too. I thought they did great. I thought these were kind of guys that will help this team, not just next season, but try to mold future leaders for the team going forward, which is what we really, really need, Eddie.
Definitely. We have a lot of, I guess, our RFAs need to be signed, with the exception of Terry and Zegras. The rest of them are going to kind of be fairly easy to sign. I know some people are worried about offer sheets, but no matter what they offer Zegras and Terry, what they're going to be worth, the Ducks are going to match it, and we're going to keep them. We're not going to get rid of them at all. So don't worry about that. It's surprising the qualifying offers that we weren't given. Comtois, I think he still has the potential the way he plays, to kind of get an asset in return for him, and I was kind of shocking that we didn't try to at least get something from him, but he's still on the free agent leaderboard, or not leader, yeah, he's still on the free agent list, so yeah, he's still there. Another thing too, Mike, there's a lot of free agents too that kind of want to cash in the max contract that haven't got signed yet, so I think the Ducks should jump on that too. They have enough cap room to get that done. We can do another Klingberg situation, offer someone a little bit overpayment to play for the Ducks, kind of showcase them, and hopefully it pays dividends and not backfires like Klingberg. I know Tarasenko was one of them, ones that are so listed over there, ready as a free agent player. He's been linked to sign with Carolina Hurricanes, and I think that's going to be a done deal soon. If not, I think the Ducks should jump on someone like that. He's one of the top free agents right now in the league that are still pending, but if the Ducks can offer him more of a payment, more money, he can showcase his talents, hopefully have a great season with Ducks. Trade deadline, he can get traded and get some huge assets for that. So I think it's one of the things that the Ducks have to look forward to, and especially all these free agents that are still left. If you have to overpay them and kind of showcase them, why not gamble? You have the cap space. You're still going to get some kind of return for them. So you're not going to just kind of lose them for nothing unless they do something so ostentatious in the offseason that's going to hurt you. But no, it's right now. We have to build. We have to get as much assets as we can. And if there's players up there of kind of Tarasenko's caliber, then why not go after them, pay them a little bit more than what they can get, and showcase them, feed them the puck. You have Zegras, and a player like Tarasenko can finish. With his shot, he can finish the plays that Zegras can give him, and I think a player like that can really pay dividends for the Ducks come trade deadline. So, yeah, I think Ducks need to be a little bit more aggressive, especially with the cap space. I don't even think they're at the cap floor yet. I know with Terry and Zegras going to be signed, they're going to be long-term deals, and I don't know if you want to talk about what you think they should be getting right now, or I know the show's going a little long right now, Mike. We can kind of save that until they get signed.
No, I mean, it's fine. We can talk about it. I mean, we're going to wrap up with the Gibson thing for the last part, but I mean, yeah, you know that Zegras is going to get up there. They're talking about 7-8 million for several years, so you're looking at that, and then Terry. I don't know if he'll be as high as that, but you're definitely looking for a high amount as well in the long term. So I think that might be part of the issue as far as the Ducks looking at DeBrincat or Tarasenko or like Nylander, like you talked about. Maybe they do what you said. Maybe they try to bring in one of those guys for a year and see if it'll work out, depending on what shakes out with the RFAs. I mean, that's something to still figure out. Like you said, they're just below the cap floor as of now. So it'd be interesting. The thing that can change all this, obviously, and we might as well just go into it now because that's the big thing that happened this last week is Gibson. Yeah.
Well, real quick. Go ahead, because what I was gonna say matches into this. So
yeah, no,
sorry. No,
yeah,
that.
just the drama with Gibson this last week has been insane. I'll go over the timeline in a minute, but. That's also going to affect what the Ducks are going to do. If they're going to trade Gibson, then yeah, he's going to be part of the deal for some of these other players that are out there, or some other kind of deal, and then that frees up room to pull a free agent or something like that. I think that's the other big thing we're trying to figure out now. And so so there's a lot of moving parts basically for what's going on now for where Verbeek's at. He's got to figure out these RFAs, get them signed. If he wants to get one of either trade for one of these other big names that's been out there or pick up a free agent that's out there, then he's got to move some people. The other name is Henrique too. We heard his name mentioned. He didn't get moved. We talked about Silverberg in the past, and we said how he's going to go to Europe at the end of the season. So he kind of screwed. It's kind of screwed that situation. So the only other options I see for the Ducks, besides outright signing people, is that they'd have to trade Henrique or Gibson. If they want to try and get another big name free agent or trade for somebody. That's kind of where they're at right now, Eddie.
I can't see them otherwise. You mentioned DeBrincat. The whole thing was our bargaining chip with them, with the Senators. They needed a superstar goalie, a goalie that can rise to that occasion with some kind of help on defensive in front of them. And the Senators made a huge leap, just like the Buffalo Sabres, and I'm going to talk about them in a minute. But they signed Korpisalo to a 5-year deal, so they're stacked on that, and that would have been a big bargaining chip for the Ducks. So I think they're out of the play on that. I can't see them offering up anything to the Senators that are going to break them away from DeBrincat, and I really can't see him kind of signing the max deal that he wants to sign. It seems like he wants to do a sign and trade so he can get the max deal. One of his preferred destinations is Detroit. They just got rid of Zadina. They both parted ways for a contract mutual decision. So I think they're making a spot open for him, and they can make some kind of trade happen. Detroit is probably a lot further on not being a bottom dweller for too long with the talent they have. So I think he can count DeBrincat out on the Ducks. It would have been a good player to have. I think he has a lot of potential. 2-time 40-goal scorer, but it's not going to happen. So we had to just kind of count our losses on that. With the Gibson situation, too, Mike. Who else do we have? We have. I think Buffalo still. I keep saying it, Buffalo. I tweeted that. I said last podcast. So we have to maybe do something at Buffalo, but I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation. How everything's transpiring. And I tweeted too, Mike. It's crazy how the Ducks have got this much attention. And it's kind of negative attention in I can't remember the last time offseason Ducks got this much attention, but
yeah, it's been a crazy offseason. They've had a lot going on. New Jersey, they picked Carlsson instead of Fantilli. They make some splashes in free agency, and now you have this Gibson thing that's gone nuts. Basically,
it got viral. It went viral.
But you and I talked about it on the show before because we had some fan questions. We had Shredden37, is Gibson out before the new year? This is not Gibson's dad, but on Instagram it's Gibbies_dad. Asked, what's up with Gibson? Summer Elder 46, where will Gibson go? You and I already talked about this. We've talked about it a lot on the show, but the last show we talked about it. You mentioned that you thought Gibson would be gone by the beginning of the season, and then I said, well, probably by the trade deadline. Well, one of us is going to probably be right because the way that this whole situation is unfolded, it's a matter of time. There was already rumors about Gibson being traded, 2-3 seasons now in a row this has gone on. And then you have Cervelli drops a bomb. He says that he goes on that Knuckles podcast and he says that Gibson said, hey, quote, I'm not playing another game for the Anaheim Ducks. Then Gibson's agent gets pissed, Kurt Overhart, and he puts out a statement saying that that's not what Gibson said, at least to the front office, which still, that doesn't mean he didn't talk to a coach or a player or a friend or a family member. It kind of leaves it open for a trade. And then, of course, Frank came back at Kurt over a similar situation that was in Arizona with a guy that ended up going with the front office where Frank said he would and Kurt said no, and then it ended up happening. So all this drama unfolded this past week, and all, like you said, all this stuff went viral, just post after post, people saying this, people saying that. Elliot Freeman chimed in too, saying that Gibson wants a trade. He wasn't really sure about the quote with Cervelli, but he says the Ducks trying to accommodate. It sounded like injuries are a concern with some teams that are kind of worried about that. But Freeman also said that Gibson's still willing to play for Anaheim. So, I mean, it's just like, I can't remember what day it was this week, but most of this came out like in 24, 48 hour period. And it was just like utter chaos, Eddie. I was just like sitting there waiting for the next thing because you had, I want to say Saravelli's quote came out like early in the morning one day. Then it was like the agent responded later in the day. Then Frank responded later today. Then Elliot Freeman, he like even updated his 32 Thoughts podcast to talk about this. I was like, holy crap. And then you had Gibson go on the Cam and Strick podcast, which was aired like later that night, technically the next day, depending on your time zone. And Gibson, which was a fantastic interview. There was a lot they talked about on there. If you didn't listen to it, the Cam and Strick podcast is like 3 hours. And like an hour of it is with Gibson. I'm like, holy crap. Like we get to an hour and a half and I think that's long. I was like, wow, this podcast is long. But what do you make of all this? I mean, I tried to give like a general timeline, but I mean, it was kind of crazy of what was coming out. What do you think of all of this? Like, is Saravelli full of shit? Like some people think of? You think the agent's full of shit? I mean, we all know that there's been talk of trading Gibson. That part we know is true. But after that, like what do you think, man? I mean, it's just a crazy situation how this just like literally blew up.
I say I believe Frank Saravelli. I believe him. He's number one. He's credible. Number two, this little fluff statement by his this Kurt guy from his agent. He's been called out, or Frank Saravelli called him out before on a previous post when Kurt said the same kind of like blank statement. Oh, well, no, it's not true, blah, blah, blah. But then hours later, this signing, Arizona happens, an executive office. This statement is Fluff 101. I'm a communications major, too, before I switched to information technology and do my cybersecurity shit. I was doing like public relations and communications, so it's like I was taught to say that exact same quote. Like it's like a blanket statement of how you get to say it, how he worded it. So I believe Frank Saravelli, these analysts, they pay a lot of money to get this info. So I'm not sure if Gibson just muttered it. It was a drunken time. He mentioned to a family, our friend, that leaked it out for money. Someone overheard him, or someone in the Ducks front office overheard a conversation, and they just leaked it out to Saravelli to get paid. But there's some truth to that statement. It's been ongoing for a while. It's just, you're not going to sit here and have these kind of rumors go on for years if there's not any truth to it. So I think it was a little far-fetched that Gibson would say that he's never going to play a game for the Anaheim Ducks again. But maybe it was the heat of the moment. Maybe you were drunk. I mean, we all say dumb shit when we're drunk. It's not some kind of a mystery thing. But I think Verbeek, I think Brian Murray, or Bob Murray, I'm sorry, they just screwed up. Gibson has had enough. He's been dealing with his injuries because of the Ducks. I think it's the Ducks' fault because all the shots he's facing, the most shots in franchise history last season, there's no support, there's no defense. He's getting ran into, and there's not really retaliation for that, so teams know they could just get in front of Gibson and make his life hell. And I don't blame him. He should have been traded before the draft. You could have got more value. This statement just decreased his value. It's kind of really recalls when Patrick Kane was all hissy fit and pissed off that Tarasenko got traded to the New York Rangers because he wanted to go there, and he thought he couldn't go there after that. And his statement was like something like, hey, I'm not going to play for any other team but the New York Rangers, so I'll put the Chicago Blackhawks in a whole bind. So the Rangers had to offer them what they offered them. Chicago had to take it. Like, they had no choice. Like, Chicago was kind of like forced to take the low payment for the best American-born player that's going to go down in history. I think it's a screwed up situation. It's effed up, and I think the Ducks, the longer they hold on to Gibson, the more shit they're gonna kind of lose. Like, you have to trade him. Just trade him already. It's done. You're not going to be competitive. And I'm sorry, fans, if you have some hope for the Ducks next season, they're not competitive next season. They're not going to be competitive the season after that. It's going to take some time. This rebuild process, the way the Ducks are doing, it's going to be slow. Free agents, top free agents aren't going to come to the Ducks unless you really overpay them. But then you have to think about the taxes and all the other crap. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. So you have to be patient, trust the process, and trade Gibson. And I thank him for everything he's done. But it's time for him to move on, and it's time for him to actually be on a team that has defense and actually can be competitive and win, because the Ducks aren't going to be that in a few years. So we ought to just count our losses and kind of have a reality set in our mind.
Yeah, you made a couple good points there, Eddie. I think one of them is Kurt Overhart, the agent for Gibson. He's doing damage control. If you read the statement, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he talks in there about, like I said, not saying anything to the Ducks front office. He didn't come out and deny the statement 100%. He just said, well, he didn't say it to the management of the team. So that maybe it wasn't exactly worded the way that Frank said it, but there's obviously some kind of statement that was made. And that leaves the door open in that memo that Kurt issued out there. And then he also finishes the memo with like, well, he's proud of, being with the Ducks and yada, yada, yada. That's all fluff. That's all like trying to save face kind of thing. So I think that's nonsense. And then when he goes on the Cam and Strick podcast, I'll read a little bit of his statement. If you missed it, I posted it everywhere on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I transcribed the thing. But the part here that makes you know that it's up in the air is he says, quote, obviously there's a little uncertainty what's going to happen. Whether I'm in Anaheim or somewhere else, I'm just worried about being ready to play. I just want to have a good year, whether I am back in Anaheim or somewhere else. I'm worried about getting myself ready, getting my body ready, and getting ready to have a good year. That's all I can really do. That's most of the quote of what he says. But that quote right there, you listen to that. He's saying twice in there, he says Anaheim or somewhere else. So he's getting ready for that. And in that interview, if you go back and listen to it, it's literally an hour long. He talks. It's funny because I was frustrated listening to it in the beginning because it's all about like him being in a goalie fight when he's at Norfolk and like talking about how he goes back and forth from Anaheim to Pittsburgh. And I'm like, ask him the question about being traded, which is like at the end of that hour. So when you go and listen to the podcast, it's around like 1 hour, 39 minute is when the interview starts. But I think he starts talking about the whole trade thing. It's about like 2 hours and 25 minute mark. Somewhere in there is where the actual discussion about this happens. So, but it leaves the door open. The memo leaves the door open from his agent. The interview on the Cam and Strick podcast leaves the door open too. So I don't know if Frank's got the exact quote right, but it just sounds like a lot of damage control, especially by the agent there. And it doesn't emphatically say, well, he didn't say anything like that or whatever. It's just like, well, yeah, I didn't tell the team that. And then Gibson did admit to having comments with Verbeek and that the comments were private. And then you remember Verbeek talked about the Ducks season ticket holder event. Yeah, I talked to Gibson. I don't want to trade him unless I get another number one goalie. So it seems like to me there's a middle ground in there. I don't think Verbeek does want to trade him. I think he did want to keep him, have him be part of it. But I think Gibson mentioned his frustration. So Verbeek's now like, okay, I need to figure out how I can make this work for the team. Because if you look at the Ducks goalie situation, it's pretty crappy. If they trade Gibson and they don't get a goalie back or they go pick one up, you have Dostal, and then what do you have? You have Stolarz left. They didn't bring back Eriksson Ek. I mean, they're kind of thin at goalie. Yes, they drafted the Italian Stallion, but he's not ready. So, I mean, I don't know. It's something that Verbeek's got to figure out. You know, is there going to be a goalie coming back? Is there one in free agency that you're going to pick up, and that's going to be the backup to Dostal? Those are some things that he's going to have to work out and figure out. And that's kind of my take on it. I don't doubt that Gibson's willing to be traded. And if the shit doesn't work out, they don't make a thing, yes, he's going to be back with the team in the beginning of the season. I don't think it's to the point where if nothing works, he's going to be like, oh, screw you guys, I'm not going to show up to, camp and whatever. I don't think it's going to be like that. That's why I think what you said, maybe he was mad at one time or drunk or something and maybe made something like, well, I don't want to play anymore here. Like that kind of a thing. I don't necessarily buy that it was exactly what he intended, though maybe it did come out kind of like that way in frustration. Because like you said, he's been taking all these shots and he had no defense this last year. We all know that. The Ducks blue line was, I mean, not only thin, it was hardly existing there. So That's where I'm at with it. I think it's still going to happen. I think it's just a matter of whether it's going to happen sooner or later. You think it's sooner. I think it might be a little bit later, but I think we agree it's going to happen soon, Eddie.
Yeah, I think right now it's like a mismanagement from Verbeek. It's just now you let this thing explode. Gibson value just dropped. Like this whole statement, whether it's true or not, it's in social media. It's like I said, the whole cancel culture thing. It's not really cancel culture, but the whole thing is when something goes public like this from a credible source, your whole value just drops. And like I mentioned with Bob Murray, you should have traded him at you could have robbed everyone. You could have got a player like Draisaitl when Edmonton was desperate for a goal. You could have got him when Gibson's value was just is a little bit equal as Draisaitl's. You could have added some more assets and got a franchise player, a player that could have changed the game of the franchise, but you didn't. Verbeek is, I don't know what he's doing, dangling around, holding out. Like, yes, he's offering, he wants a lot for Gibson, but the more you linger on, the more the value drops, especially this bombshell by a credible source by Frank Saravalli. It's not going to help you. I think, and I said it before too, Buffalo, you have Puka Lekanainen, you have a young goalie that can bring in, they have assets, and I mentioned too, like Peyton Krebs, you have Olfelsson you can bring in. Edmonton's always searching for that next goalie that can bring him over that edge. They have Jack Campbell signed, or no, I'm sorry, not Jack Campbell. I forgot his name, so I'll pass on that. But they have Stuart Skinner, and they're ready to move on for their other goalie. You can make a trade from them. Toronto's always looking for someone. Toronto hasn't had a superstar goaltender in a long time. They have the defense. Winnipeg, because Hellebuck said he went on record saying he's not going to re-sign with the team. They're looking to trade him, bring Gibson in. And then the Philadelphia Flyers, they're in the rebuilding mode, and they're trying to build their play up. Carter Hart is on the trading block as well. They want to trade him, bring a younger goalie. I think he's 23, 24. He has potential, and bring him in. I think the biggest fit for Gibson, and I know the fans are going to like this, but the Kings. I think the Kings would be a destination for Gibson. Would love. He's played his whole career here in Southern California. His life is here. Why not stay here and be a part of an organization that is probably going to win the cup again before the Ducks. It sucks to say, but the Kings are making all the right moves and they're doing everything aggressively. But they're making, like I said, every right move they can. Every player they bring in is paying dividends. Denault, they brought Fiala, and I didn't think Fiala was going to actually kind of regain his thing he did for Minnesota, but he did. And they make players better, and it's unfortunate about that because it's the Kings. But I think that'd be a good destination. I think, honestly, that besides Buffalo, I think the LA Kings would be the best fit for John Gibson, and I think he would thrive there with their defensive core. Kopitar just signed right there with a tier contract at 7 AAVAA, or I'm sorry, 7 AA. Can't even talk now. $7 million a year, say it like that. And there's some assets that can move. I don't think the Ducks and Kings will make a move like that, division rivals, but I think it'll be like a Boston, San Jose, LA Kings kind of thing. When the Kings traded Martin Jones to Boston, they flipped him to San Jose and made that three-way trade behind the Kings' back. I think that's something that they can do, but at this point, I don't care. Make a trade with the Kings, get some assets for Gibson, and help this rebuild process accelerate forward, because right now it seems like we have a goalie that's losing value every single day that this keeps lingering on, and we could be getting so much more for him, but it's going to come down to it. We're probably going to trade him for like a third round pick, and the way that Verbeek is kind of mismanaging this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the Kings. We had Larry Goldenberg. He mentioned that to me right before the show. He asked about him ending up in LA, and I was kind of like, nah, I don't think so, because the Ducks and Kings don't usually trade. But you mentioned the three-way trade thing. I mean, maybe something happens like that. Maybe the Ducks, do trade to somebody and he gets flipped and goes to LA. I mean, I would hate to see him in LA. That I would lose my mind. I'd rather him go to Pittsburgh and be with his family out there, or somewhere on the East Coast or something. But that's something to keep in mind. Maybe the Ducks trade him and he gets flip to the Kings. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out. I don't think they would trade directly, but indirectly, yeah, you never know. But you're right, Ed.
Well, who cares though, Mike? I want some I want this team to just thrive and get some assets. Like, I don't care if you got to trade to the Kings. Just trade him and get whatever.
No, I'm
can.
with you. I'm with you. I just the pain of seeing him in a Kings jersey.
Yeah, but still, it's just that would suck. But
yeah, I think you made a good point though, Eddie. The big thing is whether or not this quote is true from Saravelli. The quote came out, and like you said, this damaged the trade value of Gibson. That's the biggest thing with that quote. Whether it's true or not, or even remotely close to what he said, now they're screwed. And like you said, you want to get assets. Absolutely. They've got, at this point now, it's like, okay, if you're going to roll with Dostal, fine. If you're going to try and bring in Hellebuck and make him the guy, okay, whatever you got to do, you got to try and figure something out. Because, I mean, unless it doesn't work out and he stays with the team this next year and, like, kills it, which, I mean, yeah, the Ducks are going to be a little bit better, which we talked about. But as you mentioned, they're not going to be contender. And we had a couple fan questions about that, kind of wrap up the show here. You know, people are asking, where are the Ducks going to finish? Shred 33 asked that, and Calvin Puckering 99 asked about the playoffs. This team, as of now, things can change. They can maybe squeeze in at the bottom of the playoffs, maybe in a wild card spot. That's really where we're at right now. But with this situation, they need to move him to get some kind of value. And Verbeek's got to figure out what is he going to do for the goalie. Is Dostal going to be the guy going forward? Or does he want to bring someone in? And I really think that that's a big part of where the Ducks are at right now. And then that's also going to determine if they're going to, who they're going to try to trade for or sign as a free agent. And then obviously figure out those RFA contracts. But the quote's damaging, and the Ducks should have traded him sooner than later. 100%, Eddie.
And they're not. It's really frustrating. It's like these quotes came out and nothing being done. And Gibson. There's some truth to it. There's some truth. Like, you can't deny that. And I don't know if he was just, like I said, if he was drunk talking, if he vented to people, if someone at Honda Center overheard him. I'll say it again. These analysts pay top dollar to get this information. That's why they're always first. Hence the fact that the Seattle Kraken's draft, all their expansion draft was leaked, 6 hours before the announcements. They pay a ton load of money. I wish I had, a percentage of their money. So I probably would be doing dumb crap with it, but still, it's just, yeah, you should have traded him before. Bob Murray should have traded him before. It's just, you keep holding on and lingering. I don't know what's the point of. Does John Gibson have some kind of like dirt on these GMs or something? But it just, he's frustrated, and I don't blame him. And there's a few people on social media too really upset about John Gibson if the comment was true. But if he really did say that, I would respect him for it, because it's not fair to have a goalie with the caliber of John Gibson to be subjected to just this team. It's not right anymore. John Gibson wants to win, and he's the kind of goalie that can take a team to a Stanley Cup final. I mean, look at Adin Hill. Adin Hill, and no disrespect to him, but everyone thought he was a no one. He was a journeyman, and he came up and backstopped the Golden Knights to a Stanley Cup. Adin Hill is no John Gibson. John Gibson can kind of turn a franchise around. A franchise like the Edmonton Oilers and Toronto Maple Leafs that have the skill and talent, and they just can't get that push. Goaltending kind of falls apart. The Buffalo Sabres, I think, will make the playoffs next season of how they transitioned and how dominant they were. I don't think it's a fluke. I told you last podcast I watched these games. I think they're going to be the real deal. The Senators would have been a good candidate for John Gibson to go to too, as well, because they had that push. They had that thrive, but they just signed Corpusalo, and it's rare that in NHL they're going to sign a player for a 5-year deal, then just kind of trade him or bring in another goalie of equal or lesser value. So right now I'm frustrated more with Verbeek because John Gibson's still here, and I want him gone. Not because I don't like John Gibson, but I think we can get some kind of a return for him, and maybe like damage control can up his value. But it's just there's no point for him to be here anymore. Obviously, it was said by a credible reporter, and there's has to be some truth to it. You could minus that little fluff PR stunt that his agent's trying to do, but there's some truth to that what Frank Saravelli said. So it just now we're kind of screwed up and effed in Ducks trade rumor things because Gibson's not going to get the value that we could have got from him.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line. I think that's the main point of all of this is that quote just damages his value. So we'll have to see what happens in the next couple of weeks or months as far as the goalie situation and some of the other goalies in the league as well. Just kind of wrap up the show. A couple other little things I wanted to mention. You had Getzlaf was named the player development coordinator. He bought a house in Nashville, and he was at the draft. So I think that's a huge win for the Ducks to have him in there to help develop the players. And then an update on Dan Wood. If you missed it, he is no longer in the radio booth with the Ducks, but he's now with the Epic Times. So I wish Dan the best. And I'm happy to have Getzlaf on there. I think he's going to help out, get this rebuild going as well, Eddie. Any final thoughts on that or anything else as we wrap up the show?
Just want to give a shout out to Dan Wood. Dan Wood was he's always been the voice of Ducks hockey. I met with him personally when I first moved back over here and wanted to be part of I guess sports media with hockey. He gave me pointers. He gave me advice. He actually made me be a better podcaster, a better poster for DucksNPucks. Obviously, Mike, you're my number one mentor, and I can never thank you for what you did for me and got me up there. But you're my Dan Wood too. It's really unfortunate that Dan Wood isn't with the Ducks anymore. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes they're going to make, and they did make. But I'm glad that he bounced back and he's going to do something and keep continuing to kind of cover hockey in the Ducks. So I'm glad for that. Other than that, Mike, no, I think this podcast, we went long, but we haven't recorded in a while, so I'm sure fans will appreciate that. Looking forward to next season and see what's going on. Ryan Getzlaf being part of the organization again. Everyone flipped out. He bought a house in Nashville, which is okay. He can still, Skype or Zoom or do whatever he can with these young guns and stuff. I think he'll be a great asset because these young guns are coming over. They probably, William Borman Getzlaf was drafted, so it's good to see him part of the game still, him wanting to do something with the game, and I think it's only going to pay dividends for this team, and I'm looking forward to the Ducks announcing when Getzlaf gets his jersey retired because I think he well deserved it, so that 15 is never going to be worn again by any Anaheim Ducks player in history, or Mighty Ducks player.
Yeah, amen on that. I agree 100%. And yeah, Dan Wood was huge. I talked to him a few times at practice, getting some mentorship from him as well. On how to handle certain situations and things like that. So I'm happy to see him back, writing, doing what he likes. And yeah, it's a loss for the Ducks that he's not going to be up there in the booth. This kind of will wrap up the show and kind of for summer. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. The next podcast will probably be dependent on like Gibson or some other kind of big move going on. If not, though, we'll see. We might not do one maybe until August or September. We'll just kind of see what's going to happen with the Duck stuff. But we appreciate all the support. And as always, let's go Ducks.